So we all know that the Champions League is changing, particularly on Football Manager 2023 when you get to the 24-25 season. If you don't like that, there is a video out here on the channel that reverts back to the current format. But if you're even older, like I am, and you really like the old pre-Champions League format, then I've got something great for you. It's a fantastic download from Appy Amma or Moriarty, depending on whether you're on the SI forum or the Sort It Out SI forum. And he's basically turned European competitions back to the way they were in the 80s, in the golden age of football, and we're going to see how it works on FM23. Okay then, so if you head to the download section on the Sort It Out SI website, you can find this page here, which is linked in the description as well. Basically click on the 80s style European competitions download section, and there are two files included here, which is Appy Amma's 80s style European competitions file and the Dutch file for European style competitions as well, which is covered in the notes here. There are some known issues. There's a link here to the same thing on the FM22 site on the SI Games forum. Basically, we're taking knockout European football back to its roots, removing this non-champions getting into the Champions League nonsense, and basically setting the European Cup as a complete Champions Cup. So there are 55 teams, the champion of every European nation, plus the winner of the previous season's European Cup. How it used to be, how it should be for many. It's a straight knockout format, qualifying round, first round, all the way through to semi-finals or final. Proper difficult European Cup. The Champions League is gone. Similarly, the Europa League and the Conference League, they're out of here as well. Europa League's been replaced by the European Cup Winners' Cup. The 54-team tournament, basically the domestic FA Cup winner of every competition, of every country, in a straight knockout, qualifying round, first round, second round, quarter-final, all the way through to final. Brilliant. UEFA Cup's back as well, replacing the Conference League as a third-tier European competition. There's 120 teams in this one, so the best next place teams around the leagues, ranging from 2 to 4, depending on coefficients. You can see in the game where they go as well. Straight knockout from qualifying again. It's just no groups in anything, just knockout competition as it should be. And the European Super Cup is replicated with the European Cup winner and the Cup Winners' Cup winner facing off each other the season after, as it should be. Now, there are some known issues which are covered here. Basically, this hard-coded rule where the domestic cup winner, if they've won the league or qualified for the European Cup in another fashion by winning the European Cup, because that's the only way you can do it. If they've won the cup, the Cup Winners' Cup place goes to the league rather than the runner-up of the cup. Can't change that, unfortunately. As you see, Moriarty here on the Sort It Out SI forum has put all of the known issues in, so you can read them at your own leisure. But basically, let's have a look in the game and have a look how it works, and see how awesome it is, and see how difficult it is to win the Champions League, or the European Cup as it should be called. And see if we get any surprises as well. I'm going to simulate through the first season just to have a look. We'll have a look at the qualification places as well for England, for example, just to see what's going on. Okay, here we are. The European Champions Cup. Gone is the Champions League name. Champions Cup is back where it is. We'll have a look at the schedule, all of the rounds. We're in June, so there's nothing started yet. The qualifying rounds start in August. First round happens in September. Final in May. Brilliant. We'll have a look at the rules as well. Quite simple. 46 teams in the qualifying round, 32 in the first round. Perfect. Job is a good one all the way through to the final, and it's won in the way it should be won. League winners go into the European Cup. Cup winners go into the Cup Winners' Cup. Similar story. I don't need to tell you more. I've told you this already. And then UEFA Cup's a bit bigger, 112 in the qualifying round. First round is 64, so there's an extra round in the UEFA Cup because there's more teams. It's basically for all of those teams that need European football that haven't won the league. But there we go. Fantastic. We'll see how it simulates through first season. So I've jumped in February to have a look at what's been happening. This is the Champions Cup. You can see this is the qualifying round. So these are all the nations that go into the qualifying round. All of the smaller nations, the bigger nations get automatically into the first round, as do the previous year's winner. So that's why you can see Real Madrid and Barcelona in here, two teams from Spain. But you can see some upsets, some not upsets. Any big teams knocked out. Potentially Ajax losing to Zenit. Obviously, Russia and Belarus are in here as well. That was mentioned. Yeah. The editor's decision, I think we can call that. There's no option to put a tree on here for some reason. Never mind. But we got through to the quarterfinal draw. We'll have a look at what's happening in the quarterfinals. Who we got here? So we've got Copenhagen and Cluj and Dynamo, actually. So 3 sides out. The 8 are from traditionally smaller European nations. So that is the benefit of having not 5 teams from every big league. You actually get some smaller teams getting through into the later stages by having a good run in a knockout competition. So we've got Copenhagen, Dynamo, and Cluj. So one of Dynamo and Cluj will get through to the semi-finals, which will not happen in a regular format of Champions League. Right, we'll simulate through to the end of the season. We'll have a look. In fact, we'll have a look right now. Here are the quarter-final results. Man City beating Copenhagen, unsurprisingly. Real and Barca both getting through to the semi-finals, and Dinamo getting through as well over Cluj. It's going to be a Man City-Barcelona final, though, in the first simulation of this. And Manchester City have won it in Munich 2-1 in the final. So they will get a qualification place. Liverpool have won the Cup Winners' Cup, beating Nantes in the final. Lugano of Switzerland got all the way to the semis. PSV got there as well. Any other big surprises? So we've got Belgium being represented. That's quite, and none of the others are massive surprise. So again, getting to the quarterfinals and then the UEFA Cup, Dortmund beating Juve in the final of that one. Again, there's more big nations with more teams in the UEFA Cup, so it's probably harder to get a surprise finalist. But Braga and Freiburg getting into the quarterfinals, not too bad. Third round obviously was played during the World Cup. Right, that is the 3 European competitions. This is obviously Man City have won this one. We'll have a look at Man City and go through to the league, which hasn't finished yet. So what we'll do is we'll simulate through to the end of the Premier League and the FA Cup to get a view of what happens with European qualification in England. So there we go. I finished the simulation of England. Liverpool have won the FA Cup, so they've got... In fact, no, it's a bit complicated than that. Okay, so because Man City won the European Cup, the second place team in England get the European Cup place. So because Liverpool are in the European Cup, they don't get the Cup Winners' Cup place, which goes to third place Aston Villa. Bizarre. So then the 4 UEFA Cup places go to 4th through to 7th in the league. So this is a bit of a unique scenario that the top 2 teams have already got European Cup football. So the Cup winners go into third place in the league. The UEFA Cup, if we have a look at which nations have got, if we go down to teams, if we set to England, so there's 3 qualifying round berths and 1 first round berth for England. So England get a first round automatic berth. You can see here all of the nations that have got different number of teams. First round berth in the first season, one goes to Russia, Germany, England, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, and France by the look of things. So they all get a place. There's 2 teams from San Marino in the UEFA Cup. Good for them. Cup Winners' Cup, obviously only 1 from each nation. You can see similar list of teams getting first round berths there. And that's the European Cup in the style of the 1980s, back how it should be, and how you can play it now in Football Manager 2023. So not only can you get rid of the new Champions League format, you can get rid of the Champions League altogether and go back proper old school, proper European knockout competition of the 80s. None of this group stage nonsense. Straight knockout football. You'll get some surprise. It'll be harder to win because it's harder to qualify, but it'll be easier to win if you're a smaller nation, or easier to get deeper into the competition because there's less big teams knocking about from Europe, clogging up the later stages of the Champions League, now known back again as the European Champions Cup. If you've enjoyed this video, please go and download the database and give great thanks to Moriarty, as he's known on the Sort It Out SI website. And obviously like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out this that's coming up right now. See you on the next one.